Joining us now to look at what's happened in politics over the weekend and what's on the menu at Parliament this week is the New Zealand Herald political editor, Thomas Coughlan, live from our nation's capital. Good morning.
Morning, Garth.
Hey, look, we had the Minister of Justice, Paul Goldsmith, on earlier talking about that power that they're going to grant police to effectively move people along in situations where they might be rough sleeping or setting up in the doorways of shops around the country and so on. How do you think the messaging of this has gone? How do you think it's likely to land?
Well, it's an interesting one because we've known about it for some time. It sort of leaked out a couple of months ago, actually at the end of last year, that the government was looking at policy in this area. And the sort of genesis of this was sort of some ideas that came out of that now disbanded retail crime group. At the time, it was controversial. The opposition obviously didn't like it. It's not really their kind of cup of tea. We actually haven't seen much in terms of public opinion polling on the idea, so we don't know how it will land with the general public. It's certainly true that one of the things that the current government won the election on was law and order issues, and as the public's appetite for this government has disappeared in the last couple of years. Obviously, it's less popular on issues like the economy. It's losing on issues like health and education. Law and order is one of the few policy areas where this government is still quite popular, and it does still have something of a public mandate for law and order issues. Perhaps because it is willing to go a wee bit further and do some of these slightly more tough, more controversial things than a Labour Greens government would do. So I would say that the messaging sort of leaned into the fact that they are quite confident that they are taking the public where they want to be, where the public wants to be on issues like law and order. Whether or not it actually works is something quite different. There could be challenges in terms of pushing people out to the suburbs from the CBD. A lot of rough sleeping happens in the CBD, and obviously moving people on could mean that you move people from rough sleepers, from being where people work and shop to being where they actually live.
Yeah, putting the problem out where they've just managed to sort of head that off, I suppose, around some of the heritage rulings in Auckland particularly anyway. Hey, look, just last week, obviously, we had a pretty cautiously optimistic summary from the Reserve Bank. And the prospect of sort of quite a delay on interest rate rises there, where some were expecting. How is that likely to impact, the election and what parties are going to make of it?
I think it can only be seen as a net positive. I think if you were to go into Christopher Luxon, Nicola Willis dream scenario, you would have interest rates really, really low for a very long time, right the way up into the election. Now that dream scenario is clearly not going to happen. So the next best thing is to have an OCR hike when it comes to happen after the election, and then for the actual interest rates that people are paying, the interest rates that their banks actually charge, for those to remain relatively stable throughout the year. So you would want to ensure that the markets where banks are actually getting their funding from remain cheap enough for low affordable interest rates to be charged.
All right, Thomas, we'll stay in touch across the week and sort of see where that lands, but thanks very much for that analysis of things so far. Thomas Coughlan, the New Zealand Herald political editor.